Very hungry.
What's that?
So people at home are going to think you're very hungry. Jnanatimirandasya Yananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Safitam Jnanatale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Siguro Sijuta Padakamalam Sigurun Vaishnavam Sha Sri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvitam Tang Sajivam Bhagavatam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ragana Tanvitam Tang Lolita Vishakapita. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchaka Pachuvascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Padita Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Apologize for my voice going out. I have contacted the dreaded Mochus Fucus, but we'll try to muddle through despite that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Ramacheva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Todayam Udiraye Anastapresho Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Shevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Today is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, The Creative Impetus, Chapter 1, The Activities of Maharaja Priyabrata, text number 19. Tvam tvam janava grisaroja kosha Durga Shrito Nirjita Shat Sapatnaha Vungshve Habogan Purushadishtam Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajashva Tvam Tvab Janabangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shrito Nirjita Sat Sapatnaha Mokshwe Habogan Purushati Dishtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajashva Tvam Tvab Janabangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shrito Nirjita Shat Shapatna Mokshwe Habogan Purushati Dishtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajashva.
Navangri Saroja Kosha
Nam Tvab Janavangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shito Nirjita Shat Sapatnaha Mokshveha Bhogan Purushati Deshtan Vimukta Shangha Prakritim Bhajasva Bhavjanan Bangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shito Nirjita Shatchapatna Mokshveha Bhogan Purushati Deshtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajasva Bhavjana Bangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shito Nirjita Shatchapatna Mokshveha Bhogan Purushati Deshtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajasva Bhavjanam Hangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shito Nirjita Shatchapatna Bhumshveha Bhogan Purushati Deshtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajasva Dvam Tabjana Bangri Saroja Kosha Durga Shita Nirjita Shatchapatna Mokshveha Bhogan Purushati Deshtan Vimukta Sangha Prakritim Bhajasva. The synonyms, please repeat. Tvam, yourself. Tu, then. Abjanaba, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whose navel is like a lotus flower. Hungry, feet. Saroja, lotus. Kosha, all. Durga, the stronghold. Ashitaha, taken shelter of. Nirjita, conquered. Shat Sapatnaha, the six enemies. The mind and five senses. Bhokshva, enjoy. Iha, in this material world. Bhogan, enjoyable things. Purusha, by the Supreme Person. Atidishtan, extraordinarily ordered. Vimukta, liberated. Shangaha, from material association. Prakritim, constitutional position. Vajashva, enjoy. Translation. Lord Brahma continued, my dear Priyabrata, seek shelter inside the opening of the lotus feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus. Thus conquer the sense organs, the mind and knowledge-acquiring senses. Accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. You will thus always be liberated from material association and be able to carry out the Lord's order in your constitutional position. Please repeat. Lord Brahma continued. My dear Priyavrata, seek shelter inside the opening in the lotus feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus.
whose navel is also like a lotus.
Thus conquer the sense organs,
Thus conquer the sense organs,
the mind and knowledge acquiring senses,
the mind and knowledge acquiring senses,
accepting material enjoyment because the Lord,
accepting material enjoyment because the Lord,
extraordinarily, has ordered you to do this.
has ordered you to do this.
You will thus always be liberated
You will thus always be liberated
from material association
from material association
and be able to carry out the Lord's orders
and be able to carry out the Lord's orders
in your constitutional position.
in your constitutional position.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. There are three kinds of men within this material world. Those who are trying to enjoy the senses to the utmost are called karmis. Above them are the jnanis, who try to conquer the urges of the senses. And above them are the yogis, who have already conquered the senses. Wait a minute, that's three. There must be one more. None of them, however, are situated in a transcendental position. Only devotees who belong to none of the above-mentioned groups are transcendental. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mam echayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunana samatidhyaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Lord Brahma here advises Priyabrata to remain transcendental in the fortress, not of family life, but of the lotus feet of the Lord, Abjanabhangri Saroja. When a bumblebee enters the opening of a lotus flower and drinks its honey, it is fully protected by the petals of the lotus. The bee is undisturbed by sunshine and other external influences. Similarly, one who always seeks shelter at the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead is protected from all dangers. It is therefore said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58, chapter 14 is what? Prayers of Lord Brahma. After being defeated by Krishna and shown that his mystic power was insignificant, Lord Brahma says, Samashritaye parapalavaplavam mahatpudam punya yasho murarahe Bhavam Buddha Vatsapadam Param Padam Apadam Padam Yavipadam Natesham. For one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, everything becomes easier. Indeed, even crossing the great ocean of nescience, Bhavam Buddhi, is exactly like crossing the hoofprint created by a calf, Vatsapadam. For such a devotee, there is no question of remaining in a place where every step is dangerous. Our actual duty is to carry out the supreme order of the personality of Godhead. If we are fixed in our determination to carry out the supreme order of the Lord, we are always secure, regardless of where we are situated, whether in hell or in heaven. Here, the words Prakritim Bhajashva are very significant. Prakritim refers to one's constitutional position. Every living entity has the constitutional position of being an eternal servant of God. Therefore, Lord Brahma advised Priyavrata, be situated in your original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. If you carry out his orders, you will never fall, even in the midst of material enjoyment. Material enjoyment achieved by dint of one's fruitive activities differs from material enjoyment given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A devotee sometimes appears to be in a very opulent position, but not that often. But he accepts that position to follow the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, a devotee is never affected by material influences. The devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement are preaching all over the world in accordance with the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They have to meet many karmis, but by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are unaffected by material influences. He has blessed them as described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 7, 129. Kabu na bhadibe tomara vishara taranga, punarapi etani pabe moda sangha. A sincere devotee who engages in the service of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by preaching his cult all over the world will never be affected by Vishaya Taranga, material influences. Taranga means waves, like Romanchakam Prashu Taranga Bhajo. Spiritual masters. Romanchakam Prashu. The Roma means hair. The Romancha is hair standing on end. Kam Prashu. The tears are coming from his eyes. Taranga Bhajo. He's overcome by waves of ecstasy. So Vishaya Taranga means waves of sense gratification. But a devotee who's preaching will never be affected by Vishaya Taranga, material influences. On the contrary, in due course of time, he will return to the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and will thus have perpetual association with him. A very full purport. Swamtab Janab Hangri Saroja Kosha Dagashito Nirjita Shat Supatna Monkshwe Haboghan Purushat Idishtan Vimukta Sangha Prakitim Bhajashwa. Lord Brahma continued, my dear Priyavrata, seek shelter inside the opening in the lotus feet of the Lord, whose navel is also like a lotus. Thus conquer the 6 sense organs, the mind, and knowledge-acquiring senses. Accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. But don't think the Lord has ordered you to do that. This is Priyavrata, remember? We're talking about. Someone may think, oh yes, Krishna has ordered me to enjoy. But no, you are not Maharaj Priyavrata. You will thus always be liberated from material association and be able to carry out the Lord's order in your constitutional position. Mukham karoti vachalam bhangam agayate girim jat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dhirodatta Paramananda Madhavam. So, Prabhupada categorizes the 3 kinds of men in this world. The first, he says, are the karmis who are trying to enjoy the senses to the utmost. Most people in the world are not even karmis, actually. They're vikarmis, because they're performing forbidden activities to try to enjoy the senses, vikarma, as explained by Lord Rishabdev. Nunam pramatat kurute vikarma yad indriya pritiya apranoti nasadu manye yata atmanoyam ashanapi kleshida asadeha. That driven by the desire to enjoy their senses, yad indriya, Indriya means the senses, pritiya apnoti, that people are performing all kinds of nunam pramata kurute vikarma. Pramata means mad. They're like mad. They're absorbed in madness, thinking that they'll be happy by performing activities that are not prescribed duties for human beings, but actually are forbidden in the Vedas. And this vikarma is very inauspicious. However, that fact does not slow down the mad rush of, quote, civilization, unquote. And that has become this pursuit of forbidden activities, the standard of life. And no one knows that this is madness. This wanton pursuit of sense enjoyment, indulging the senses, whether by hook or by crook. Neither one, hook or crook, is very legitimate or lawful or desirable. Just like someone, you may have met or seen someone who's always scheming and scamming to get over, generally at the expense of others. That's what scamming is. Trying to take advantage of the naivety or the misplaced trust of someone else to get something for themselves. And thus, the person who has been scammed eventually realizes, wait, I've been cheated. So the world is filled with these persons, the cheetos and the cheetahs, or cheetad, you could say. Right, cheated by the Cheetos, which are promising unlimited happiness that goes crunch. And they are thus cheetahd. The cheetah is a four-legged animal that runs very fast, 39 miles an hour. So you have the Cheetos and the cheetahs. Always trying to get over. But Lord Rishabdev said, this is madness. Just to try to satisfy. Indriya pritya apranoti. And he concludes, therefore, that Nasadu manye yata atmanoyam ashanapi klesha da ase deha. He says, I think it is not befitting an intelligent person, Nasadu manye, to engage himself in this way because, what? Asanapi klesha da ase deha. He suffers in various ways. Klesha refers to the threefold miseries. Adidaivaka klesha, adibodhika klesha, and adhyatmika klesha. Adidaivaka klesha means miseries set forth by the demigods. One good example of that would be the Arizona summer. Kleshada. It's very hot. Of course, we can think of a more immediate example right now is the big ice storms and freezing that they're experiencing on the East Coast, even in the Alachua, which is generally not too cold in the winter. The other day, one friend told me it was 23 degrees. I've seen it get down to 19 degrees there. It makes it very hard to heat your double wide. You know, that's what they say in Florida. Do you own or rent your double wide? Because there are so many trailers and they always blow over when the hurricanes come, which the hurricanes come. That's another example of the Adidaiva Klesha, the hurricane. And just now up in Washington State, they're having these floods because instead of, it's too warm. So instead of snow, they're getting all this rain, and all these places that are in the mountains, they're all getting flooded. The towns are flooded, or along the coast. And everyone is suffering from Adidaiva Klesha. Then there's Adibodhika Klesha. That is the suffering caused by other living entities. A favorite example is the mosquito. He's the very personification of Adibodhika Klesha. Another example of Adibodhika Klesha would be the tax collector. No one likes the tax collector. They all wish he were dead. And then another example of Adibodhika Klesha would be along the same lines, a government official who imposes tariffs on all the imports so that everyone, the places from which the imports are coming, they're not paying the tariffs. But the poor citizens who are trying to receive the goods are paying the tariffs. And thus they're suffering and struggling, and many like small business people who manufacture different things, and they have to get the parts which are made overseas, then their cost dramatically increases, and either they can't stay in business or they have to increase their prices, but then the customers don't want to pay the prices. It's too expensive. And that's all caused by Adibodhika Klesha. Sometimes that's caused by the Buddha in chief. The chief Buddha. Buddha also refers to like ghosts and spirits. So, the big ghost, causing everybody else to suffer. Why is he causing everyone else to suffer? Because I'm the big dog and everyone else is just little dogs. So the big dog rules the roost. That is a mentality. Adibodhika Klesha. And then, what perhaps could be the most intense of all is Adhyatmika Klesha. The suffering caused by one's own body and mind. Atma can refer to the body, to the mind, and to the soul. So Adhyatmika Klesha, everyone experiences that, at least anyone who lives past the age of 5 experiences that. Even little kids experience Adhyatmika Klesha. What to speak of when one passes a certain age and everything begins to dysfunction in the body in most unpleasing ways. That is Adhyatmika Klesha. And then beyond just the mere suffering of the bodily mechanism itself, and perhaps even more powerful is the sufferings caused by one's own mind. One may feel that he being tortured by his own mind. Indeed, there's a section in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam which explained that the mind is godlike in his powers to lord it over the living entity. He's like a god, but he's like a god gone bad, a god who's gone to the dark side, and thus causes one to suffer. Adhyatmika Klesha. So that's just the first category of men we're talking about, the karmis. Next is the jnanis, who are above the karmis, and they are trying to conquer the senses and understand the truth by philosophical speculation. So some will find that very attractive. Is that Eastern European sannyasi who used to be the temple president of San Diego? What's his name? He's been here a few times after he took sannyas. Anandatirtha, is that his name? He was talking about, apparently he was something of a jnani before he became a devotee. And he was talking about how sweet are the pleasures of speculation. I was very bemused by that, and I am just taking his word for it because I never experienced it. But he was saying, oh, it is very attractive. Because one thinks, yes, now I am understanding everything by the power of my own speculation. But in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, it says, Yener havendaksha vimuktimaninas tvayashtabavad avashudha budhayaha aruyukachena param tata param panam tata patantito nadritud jushmat angriyaha. That those who rise up to a very high position by performing severe austerities and mental speculation, what is their position? Vimuktimaninaha. It means that they think they're liberated. They're liberated in their mind. But that is not actual liberation. What is that called, Parameshwar Prabhu? And one is a legend in his own mind, right? We were talking about that this morning. One becomes a legend in his own mind. Oh, that's different than becoming a legend in one's own time. When one is a legend in his own mind, he's thinking, yes, I am a great legend. I am liberated. Vimuktimaninaha. I have risen to the platform of liberation. But his liberation is only here. He's not actually liberated. Prabhupada tells a story about a potter. And so he's very expert artisan, great craftsmanship. He's making this beautiful pot. So he makes one beautiful pot and he's looking at it and he says to himself, oh, this pot is very nice. It is extraordinarily beautiful. So I'm going to sell this pot and I'm going to make many other pots like it. And they're going to command a very good price in the marketplace. And I'm going to sell a lot of these pots. And he closes his eyes. And I'm going to become very rich. Yes. Yes, I'm going to become very rich. And then I'll be very attractive. And some beautiful woman will want to marry me and become my wife because I'm so rich. And so his eyes are closed. He's sitting next to the pot. He's going on and on in his reverie. Oh yes, she's very beautiful and she will serve me. But if she tries to argue with me and makes me angry, then I will kick her. And while he's dreaming and thinking like this, he kicks the pot that he just made and he breaks it. And thus he has nothing. That's vimuktimaninaha. Well, in his case, it's I am rich. I'm going to enjoy. And then in his reverie, he destroys the only means of making enough money to get today's lunch. And the reason that the mental speculators, they fail to achieve any permanent status of liberation is because of avishuddha buddhaya. Buddhi means intelligence. Shuddha means pure. Avishuddha buddhaya means impure intelligence, unclean intelligence. And why are they situated like that? Because aruya krishchena param padam tata patantyadho. Patantyadho means they fall down from their position of imagined superiority, vimuktimaninaha, because of their lack of regard Yushmarangriha, of the lotus feet of the Lord. That Angri is in today's verse. So that's the position of the Gyanis. It's sad because they cannot achieve what their real goal is. And Prabhupada even explains to us, teaches us nicely that even they may actually merge into the existence of the Lord, into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but they cannot remain there. But they have to come down again, because what's going on in the Brahman effulgence of the Lord? Yeah, there's nothing to do, man. Just light. And there's no real bliss. There's no variety. There's no activity. You can't float on over to somebody else's cloud and say, what's happening, brother? Let's go out and do something. No, there's no variety. So they're forced by their desire, because desire is the concomitant factor of the jiva, of the living entity. The living entity has desire in its heart. And so he cannot remain artificially in a desireless position. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udadadi tivrena bhakti jogina yajeta purusham param. That akama, even if one is supposedly, or quote, desireless, akama sarva kama va, or if one has filled with all desires, which is the pretty much normal condition of everyone. Everyone is running around with so many desires in their heart and so many plans to try to fulfill them. Or moksha kama, even if one is liberated from all desire. Udadadi, one who has expanded intelligence. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One should perform bhakti yoga. Tivrena bhakti yogena, which is, bhakti yoga is tivra. There was one devotee I knew many decades ago in Florida. His name was Tivra Bhakti. Very nice name. You remember Tivra Bhakti? Yeah. Yes, you know him. I liked him. Tivra Bhakti. That the Tivra means the ray of sun, which is very powerful. The sunshine has great power. Just like here in Arizona, the sun is very powerful. It's gradually destroying every building we have here on our property. And you see the people with the RVs, they have this thing they put over the tires to keep the sun from like destroying the rubber in the tire through the heat and power of the sun. Yachchakshri sasavita sakala grahanam rajasta what is it? Rajasta samasta sura ashesha teja yasya gaya Brahmati sambriti kala chakra, you know, Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. So the sun is very powerful, tivra. And it assumes its power, its great power of producing heat and light by the order of Govindamari purusham tamaham bhajami. So then above the Gyanis, who we're talking so much about, are the yogis, who actually conquered the senses and are trying to reach the super soul. But it is very difficult. It is very difficult. And therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam apasarvesham madgaterat taratmana shadavan bhajate jomam samyutat tamo mataha. That of all the yogis, Yoginam apasarvesham, the one who is the highest of all, is one who is always meditating on me. Shadavan bhajate jomam, who's always worshiping me. Shadavan, with great faith. Van means one who possesses, and Shraddha means faith. Shraddhavan bhajate jo mam, same yuktatamo mataha. I consider him to be Uttama, the highest of all. That's Krishna's opinion. There are others who have different opinions. But we want to accept the opinion of Krishna. When Krishna says, that is my opinion, yes. And it's Krishna's opinion. And someone else says, but I don't accept Krishna's opinion. I'm having a different opinion. So in that category, someone who's not accepting the opinion of Krishna or the opinion of the spiritual master, then he has taken himself to be his own spiritual master. But we know from the teachings of the great acharyas that one who accepts himself as his own spiritual master, he has a great fool for a disciple. He's both a guru and disciple, and both are fools. So in this way, Prabhupada is describing the three classes of men. And then he says, but then there's the devotees who are not in any of those three classes because they are transcendental. Yogina Matasarvesham. They're the highest of all. Because they have surrendered to Krishna. And they're not interested in any kind of personal benefit. Prabhupada, interestingly enough, turns this purport to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who very deliberately taught us, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Nadanam. Oh my Lord, I'm not looking for a quick buck to win the lottery or to have a big fortune. Nadanam, no wealth. I'm not interested in that. Najanam, I do not want many followers online. See how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted the rise of the internet culture. When I joined, there was no internet, and so people didn't think about, who does this having many followers? How does that apply? Well, now we see. And I had a stepdaughter who, although was only 12 years old, had I forget the name of it. I don't think it exists anymore. Some online platform where you have these friends.
MySpace?
MySpace? Might have been. It was something like around 2000s. And but she was underage. You were supposed to be 16. And she was only 12. But she had these friends. And then some other girl became envious when she found out what was going on. And she reported her to the website that she was underage. And so they deleted her profile and she lost her followers. And she was crying, I lost all my friends. And we told her, honey, those weren't your friends. Your friends are the kids you go to school with that sit in the cafeteria every day and eat lunch. That was the Alachua Learning Center, where the cooks were devotees and all the cafeteria fare was prasadam, nicely prepared by devotees. You remember Koti Chandra? She was the cook from Bolivia, and she had a heart of gold and she loved the kids. She had her own kids too, and she would cook so nicely and offer everything to Krishna, and the kids, they loved the prasadam. So those other kids that you're sitting with taking prasadam at the Krishna conscious school, those are your real friends. And these other kids who you never met, who you think you're getting some adoration from, those are not your real friends. Those are just internet friends. Like I was told about one ISKCON guru who has many internet disciples, apparently who he never met, most of them. They're internet disciples. I don't know if those are real disciples or they're just expert computer geeks. But and then one time on the Tonight Show, the host Jay Leno was talking about, Facebook friends, and he was saying that you think they're your friends until it's time for you to move. You have to move from one apartment to another apartment, and you summon those friends, but none of them show up because they're not your friends. And of course, a real friend is what? Somebody that has a pickup truck. Right, Damodar? Prabhu, I need help. Can you bring your truck? It's time to move. That is the real friend. And Prabhupada quotes that old maxim, a friend in need is a friend indeed. But, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Janam, you don't need Facebook followers or YouTube followers or whatever. They may be good for generating a little bit of YouTube bucks, but the devotee has no need for such things. But a devotee can preach to people on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, TikTok, and make them Krishna conscious. Then you can become internet disciples. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the way, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundaram, he's not praying to the Lord, I do not want to enjoy beautiful members of the opposite sex. And therefore, Prabhupada quotes this verse here from the Madhya Lila, chapter 7, I believe it is. Where is it? Here it is. Kabuna bhadhibe tomara vishaya taranga. That even though there may be this vishaya taranga, waves of sense gratification, a devotee, a sincere devotee who engages in the service of the Lord by preaching his cult all over the world, Prabhupada says, will never be affected by vishaya taranga, which means waves of sense gratification, or as Prabhupada puts it here in the purport, material influences. On the contrary, in due course of time, he will return to the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and will thus have perpetual association with him. That's what we want. We want that perpetual association at the lotus feet of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya is praying that let me become a speck of dust at your lotus feet perpetually. All right, so I had a whole nother concept I was going to present, but we're on gym show time now, so we'll stop here. Questions, comments, realizations, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Dhirodatta Prabhu. Thank you for the really nice class and your overview on the 3 types of people, Vikarmis. I guess like Karmis/Vikarmis, Gyanis, and Yogis. I really like your anecdotes. And I was just appreciating, I was thinking about yesterday's verse. I was appreciating how, as it was Lord Brahma who also spoke the last verse, about how in the having a wife is like the commander of like a fort, and then one is able to like conquer like their senses. I was appreciating how in this verse, like the last one is giving a prescription for sense control in the perspective of Varnashram Dharma, and then in this one, in the perspective of Bhagavat Dharma, just like straight, like pure, like Krishna consciousness. I was really appreciating how it's like Lord Brahma is like creating like a kind of level or like a ladder or a tiered system of sense control in family life or in contact with the material energy. The first one is to have a very like responsible family life and like a pucka wife. And then the other one is to just be fully and totally focused on Krishna, and that way to be transcendental and in control of their six senses. So I just really appreciated that connection between the two verses. Hare Krishna.
Yes, good insight. Durga Ashritaha. Adyeti Durga Ashritaha. One conquers in household life. A Durga Ashritaha, being in a fortified place. And one can transcend the lusty desires. And anyone who's in Grihastha life in that fortress may know that the wife is the commander. Especially when your wife is the temple president. This is my personal experience. And there's one story Sureshwar told about. It was the wife of the husband of Queen Elizabeth. I think, what was his name? Edward? I can't remember. So they were having some discussion, and she didn't want to do what he was saying. And he said to her, "But I am your husband. But I am your husband." And she said to him, "But I am your queen." So he was defeated. He was defeated by the boss, as we say in vernacular culture. With that, we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.